it's Shelby and welcome back to my kitchen. You know, one of my challenges as a personal chef is when I have a family and every family member eats in a different way, they have a different meal plan. So I try to come up with things, hopefully, that will make everybody happy. So what I've learned to do is to serve things sort of a la carte. So the main meal pretty much is the same, and then everybody puts their add-ins into the dinner. So what we're going to do today is actually a fried rice. This will accommodate a vegan, a vegetarian, meat eaters, and hopefully a few in between. So first thing I want to start talking about a little bit is rice. We never talk about rice. Rice is just something you kind of take for granted, but there are so many different kinds of rice. So I thought, well, let me dig out what we have in the pantry and we'll kind of get an idea. Unfortunately, I didn't have that many different kinds to show you, but we can still talk about it. The first thing I want you to know is that when we're talking about a fried rice or even a sushi rice, you need a very small grain rice. The smaller the grain, the stickier it's going to be. So obviously, if you're rolling sushi, you need that rice to be sticky. When you're doing a fried rice, you also need an element of stickiness to that as well. So you're going to start off with a very small grain rice. The next thing we're kind of do is what they call a medium grain rice. And if you go to a grocery store that has a decent selection, you'll see that it'll say in your regular bags of rice, it'll say medium or long grain rice. Now, I don't always see a short grain rice, so if I'm going to do a fried rice, I'll most likely choose the medium if I'm going to be doing a white rice. The longer grains are going to be more separate, and the longer you go, the less starchier and the more separate they're going to be. So if you think of when you go for Indian food or Persian food, you've got that wonderful rice that they serve, like the basmati rices, very separate, delicate, long grains. So that's kind of a quickie there on white rice. Now, then of course we have brown rice. So what's the difference? Well, brown rice is really your more natural product. Brown rice has the germ and it has the bran, which has been stripped from your white rice. So think of it as it has one more layer of fiber. That's why the nutritionists are usually a little bit happier with you having the brown rice versus the white rice. With the white rice, that's a sometimes hard one to spit out. With the white rice though, usually the producers do enhance it and make sure that it does have the vitamins and the minerals so that it hasn't completely been depleted. So whichever one you choose, it is your choice. The white rice is probably more traditional for a fried rice. The brown rice has more fiber and has a little bit of a nuttier taste. So whichever one you want to use, that's up to you. The one thing I recommend you don't use is any of the converted or the minute rices. They're stripped down to like next to nothing. And then they're like polished, if you think about it, like that Uncle Ben's rice always looks a little shiny. Don't use that. They've taken the starch out that you needed and really, really over processed. So that's not what we're going to use for today. So let's talk some more about rice. I've got two bowls, and if you were here in person, I think I'd ask you, which one do you want me to use? Shall we use the brown or the white? But since I get to be the decision maker here, I'm gonna opt for the brown rice. I like the nuttier taste. And okay, we all need a little fiber at a certain age, so we're gonna go with this one. Now, when you go to a Chinese restaurant and you have leftover white rice, this is the best. This is what you want to use it for. This is terrific to save to make fried rice. Alrighty, so let's just real quick talk about how we cook rice. If you have a rice steamer or rice pot, knock yourself out. You probably know how to use it better than I do because I don't use one. I just use an old-fashioned pot. White rice, think of a 2-to-1 ratio. So you've got 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of water, bring it to a boil, turn it all the way down to the lowest flame or the lowest heat that your stove will go, 20 minutes, done. Do not stir your rice. Leave it be top on, leave it be. You stir it, it gets sticky, just leave it alone. Brown rice, the formula is a smidge different. You go a cup of brown rice to 2 1/4 cups of water. So you have a smidge more water in there, and it cooks closer to 40 minutes or even 45. Think of the brown rice as wearing like an extra little sweater, so it's going to take longer to cook. So that's it. So that's the basis for rice. Now, so what I would suggest you do is start in the morning, throw up a pot of rice, then you let it chill all day long. You want your rice to be cold when you stir fry it, otherwise you're gonna have a sticky mess. So that's what I did. This was done this morning. Yeah, it was a little clumpy. I took very clean hands and just got some of the clumps out. And then I'm ready to stir fry it. So that's my tutorial on that. We'll go over to the stove in a minute. I want to talk about one more thing before we do. And that is, we're going to do a tofu. I got a request. Please do a dish with tofu. Well, this is a great one for that, because if you like the tofu, we got it. And if it's not your thing, then you don't put it in your portion. The tofu that I do recommend for this is an organic extra firm. And the reason I like this one is, as right here, it says non-GMO. You don't need to have a genetically modified product. Soy is one of those things. If you love it, you love it. Some people are allergic. You know who you are. I know with me, I'm fine with the solid tofu, but give me soy milk and it just about kills me. So once again, you know if it's right for you. Go with the extra firm for this, because otherwise it'll turn into a mush when you start to stir fry it. Don't look for the one that says silken. So that's pretty much for that. I'm gonna show you. When you take it out, it's gonna be sitting in a little bit of water. You wanna drain it and put it in paper towels. Try to get some of that extra water out of it. And then very gently slice it. Okay. I'm just gonna do a quick demo here, and you're gonna put it into cubes. Not too big, not too little. And we're just gonna saute it in some oil. Now, generally speaking, when you're talking an Asian stir fry, you of course don't use olive oil. You use a bland oil. Bland meaning that it's a flavorless oil, whether you want to use soybean oil or safflower oil. I'm not big on canola because it's generally a GMO, but if you like it, that's great for you. So we're gonna walk over to the stove, and I'm gonna take my brown rice with me. And let's put this over here. And I'm gonna take my tofu with me, and y'all walk over to this part of the kitchen. And I've got 2 burners going. Now, I will say, everybody's kitchen is different. If we weren't filming, I would turn the fan on, but it sounds like an airplane propeller, so I'm not going to do that to you. You know your kitchen. If you need to put the fan on, everybody's smoke detectors go off, because you do need to get this started on a relatively high heat. So let's put the tofu in first. That is going to need another minute, so let's turn that up. Just want to space them out here. And then once they come up to a high heat, we will turn them down. Let's turn that down a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're just going to allow those to brown nicely on each side. And I find using a pair of grippers is great. This is the easiest way to get those to turn on each side. Okay, now for the rice. Now, depending on how much rice you have, you might need to do this in 2 batches. sizzle noise. And if you remember, I told you that we did have some oil already on the bottom here. And we're just going to continue to stir fry. If you have a wok, this is great for a wok. Mine is buried somewhere in that lower cabinet. But it's perfect for a wok because with the high sides, you can really get that rice moving around. However, as you see, a regular skillet's going to work fine too. Break up any clumps, although sometimes I like the clumps, so, you know, that's up to you. And as you see, I do have this on a high heat, and the tofu is on a smidgen lower heat. I'll turn that up just a little bit too, and we'll check that. Miss Eloise is looking for whatever falls on the floor. Okay, once this gets a little more toasted, I'm going to go ahead and hurry it up for the sake of the filming. We're going to then add a little bit of low sodium soy sauce, and I'm big on the low sodium one. We're going to add a little bit of ginger. If you don't feel like chopping the fresh ginger, this ginger paste is great. Little garlic, of course. Have you seen me not cook with garlic? Let's mix this in. There we go. A little bit of sesame oil. Now remember, you don't stir fry in sesame oil. Sesame oil is used as a seasoning base, but it gives it that smoky flavor that makes it wonderful. That's what really makes it taste authentic. Now, I don't have any in the house, but if I did, you could even add a little bit of oyster sauce as well. All right, let's see how this is doing. It might be time to turn them over. Yup, they're starting to brown, so let's flip these just to give you an idea of color. I do have some of these already made up for you, so you don't need to be quite as attentive to these. So we'll just kind of let that go. And what I love is the longer you let this go, you will start getting some nice little brown bits, which is delicious. So once again, for the sake of brevity, I am going to turn this off so that we can proceed to the next part of the video. So come back over with me. And I'm going to grab my cutting board. I don't think my cutting board would melt, but let's not chance it. Oh, you can see it's already got nice and brown, and you've got a couple of those nice crusty pieces. Okay. I like serving this on a platter. So let me pull out, now here's the good part. First, we're going to mix in some broccoli and carrots that have already been done. What's so nice is you can do this earlier in the day. So let's toss that in. Now, I big green pea person, so I put in the snow peas because I think they're fabulous. When you do your snow peas, undercook them because they really get soft very quickly. And as you see, I have some pepper on here. That's gonna get mixed in. And if you are not going in the vegan direction, then I made a little omelet. It was very skinny, a little pancake omelet. So I'm gonna put that in. My favorite part is the pineapple. You might not like it on pizza, but you're gonna love it on here. That's what makes it. So we're gonna give it a stir, a plating, and then we're gonna add the tofu, and we're gonna top this with some scallions. And you have a wonderful, wonderful weekday dinner. So apologies that I'm not going to put the whole thing on because I know you certainly can do this on your own. Let's just add the tofu that we already have here. And you see I have them nice and crispy because I do like a little bit of texture on that. Clean up the edges and our scallions. These are the raw scallions, of course. You could also add some sesame seeds if you like. And that is it. So this is a dinner that we could add shrimp, we could add a protein to, or we could keep it just like this for my vegans. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and smells great. At the end, you can drizzle a little more sesame oil or a little more soy sauce to taste, and that's it. So thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time.